So today's project, I traded my KLX 110 for a new bike. Drove 3 hours to get it through the snow this morning. And the kid said it was had great compression, but was hard to start. Turns out it doesn't have great compression, but it's a
2009 KX 250F.
Good job. Yeah, it's a 2009 KX 250F. But yeah, it turns out it does not have great compression. It has very little compression. So, I'm hoping the valves just need shimmed. But there's a plier mark on that tensioner, like somebody had it out recently. I already stopped and washed it once. I mean, it's a mess. Looks like it's a trail bike. Kid was from Michigan. I think he just rode it in trails up there. But it's set up. It's got a lowering link, which I don't hate because I'm short. It's got some works connection, billet stuff. The suspension's been done by somebody. It's valved for 120-pound riders. It's a little light for me, but it's terrible bar risers. Got to come off. Obviously grips, front brake lever delete kit. That'll need fixed, but yeah, not bad for trading a 110 that I had only a couple $100 in. But yeah, the axle blocks are on backwards. But I'm gonna start with seeing what's going on with this compression. So we're gonna start up there.
We have to shim the intake valve.
Yes, we have to shim the intake valve. The exhaust is within spec. The kid I bought it off of said the exhaust might be he tried shimming and it might be wrong, but the intake valve is tight. They're tight up against the valve, so let's shim that. All right, we got the cams out. Yeah, I gotta measure these. My toolbox is a disaster. Oh, 0.64. Oh, 0.72. so we're day 3 of having this bike. I've ridden it just around town, around the neighborhood. Got on it a little bit. It's running better as I ride it. I think probably the fuel's not great that was in it, but I haven't pulled the carb off yet. And these are known for being a little boggy. So I ordered an accelerator pump cover that's supposed to take some of that bog out of it. But the big issue is that's fork seal oil, or fork oil rather. So I know the seals are out of it. I have them coming, but I'm gonna pull the carburetor off, I think, and go through it just to make sure it's clean. And then probably pull those forks once I can check Motorsport and see where my seals are. But I also got some grips to throw on. They're takeoffs from another bike, but they're way better than these things. So we're gonna throw those on real quick, and then we're gonna go back to the CRF 70 deal because the engine's running, but it needs steering stem bearings, and those are on the way. So I'm gonna get that done for that kid. One other thing I didn't do a very good job talking about showing was that valve adjustment. The exhaust valves were within spec, but the intake valves were tight between the lifter and the cam. So I went in increments of 10 thousandths. I'm sorry, yeah, 10 thousandths. I had to drop 45 thousandths to get it in shim size to get it within spec. But once I got it within spec, it's 2 kicks and it starts. So compression's still good. I was worried about that, but yeah, we were 45 thousandths out on the intake valves. Exhaust valves were within spec. The kid I got it from said he tried to adjust them. He told me the exhaust valves weren't right. They were actually correct. Intake was not, but yeah. All right, now that the fuel tank and the seat are off, pretty self-explanatory. Pull the 2 bolts out of the valve cover and pull the 2 timing cover bolts out. You turn this one on the flywheel or on the crank, and you wait till the 2 notches line up in this mark. And that gets you a TDC. Obviously, there's marks on your cams to make sure they're lined up with the top of the head as well. And even though we're pulling this apart, it's important to be at TDC before you take it apart so you know that crank's in the right spot for when you put it together. It makes putting the cylinder and the head on much easier. All right, so I'm gonna try to hold the light and see in there to the flywheel. That's we need to line up the marks. It's a 14mm socket or nut on that end of that crank. You'll feel it. It like builds compression and you lose it right past that mark like it just did. I'm guessing I just passed the mark. Nope. That was not TDC. But I'll bet you I have it now. Yep. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them. Why won't it let me zoom? Alright, now I'll zoom. You can see the 2 marks in there. You want that lineup mark in the case, right in between them. You check yourself by coming up to the cams. See the mark on the cam, it's painted yellow on each side, those little dots, and the 2 on each cam, intake and exhaust pointing up. Now how you can check yourself to make sure you're at TDC. If this was overhead valve, or this is overhead cam, if it was overhead valve, you could pull your rockers and make sure they're loose at TDC, but on this one, see how your cam lobes are pointing up at like a 45 on both exhaust and intake away from each other? We're at TDC. So now I can check to see if we're within spec, which I'm betting we're not. So real quick, I think it's 4 to 6 on the intake and 6 to 8 or something on the exhaust. I'll look it up real quick and check and make sure, see if we're within spec. Like I said, I'm betting we're not. I bet we're tight on the intake. All right, so the specs are 7 to 9 on the exhaust for your clearances and 4 to 6 on the intake. So we're gonna start with a 5. It's just a chunk of a 5 because I tried to bend it and it broke. But I will bet you money it doesn't go. It does not. That's interesting. So that intake's probably tight. See if we can get anything to go in there. See if we can find like a 1 or a 2. Here's a 2. It's gonna be easy to kink this thing. So thin. Okay, so 2 won't even go. So it's tighter than 2000s. So obviously our intake, once again, is out of adjustment. Let's grab the 7 real quick and see if it goes in the exhaust. That's the small side of the exhaust. Yeah, right in. So, yep, both of them. So our exhaust is good. Our intake's tight again. And I just shimmed them. And I have the smallest shim size you can put in there. So I'm certain that that intake valve is stretched. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this cylinder head off. I'll check out the cylinder when I'm in there. I don't think I'm gonna do anything with rings right now because it ran great. It's just I keep not having the ability to start it after I run it for a couple hours. I think it's because those intake valves are stretched. So we'll pull that cylinder head off there and throw some valves in it real quick. I have valves coming, be a couple days, but in the meantime we can get it apart. And then the rest of this is just cleaning it up. I mean, the grip tape looks like crap. I'm a grip tape fan, but no, it looks like that. Got some of the trail stickers, like permitting stickers and stuff off of it. But yeah, change these grips out, have an air filter coming, accelerator pump gasket. Oh, and those backwards axle blocks. I don't know if you can see this. The axle blocks are in backwards, so the chain's real sloppy. It probably needs a chain, but I think I can get away with it if I put the axle blocks in the correct way and adjust that chain up. So that's what we're gonna do. These chain tensioner bolts are known for being seized up, so I'm hoping I'm gonna pull them out and see if I can get them moving and anti-seize them. I'm actually very surprised that axle had some grease on it, but this chain's not in awful shape. If I lube it up, I think it'll be okay still for a little while. Like I said, I'm just trying to get this bike to where I can actually ride it on the track, because if I finish this one or start on this one before I finish the TTR, it'll never get done. So we're just trying to do some general maintenance to this and make it rideable for now. All right, as expected, this side seized up, froze up, so let's see if we can set this camera to where we get some heat in there. Let's see what we got. Hope I don't have to put a ton of heat to it. Oh, dang, those are gonna break off. Ooh. Ooh. Got a funny feeling they're gonna bring the threads with it. Yeah, not great. The only bad part about buying a 15-year-old trail bike off Marketplace, you know it probably got zero maintenance, or not enough maintenance at least. Hopefully I can run that in with some heat and that PB blaster, get it into those threads. Alright, I'm done with that thing. I'm gonna grab a ratchet. Well, I got it out. You see it screwed up some threads. I don't know if it's gonna focus on that or my fingers. But the threads in the swing arm seem to be okay. I'm gonna run a dye down this, see if I can clean it up. I know they make a repair kit, but again, just trying to get this season out of it. And I'm not gonna ride a whole bunch, but be able to ride a little bit would be nice. I don't know what size that is. Probably M8, I would think. 7, 8. It's M8 125, not M8 100. Yep. I should probably lube this, but we're gonna run her dry. So we're really not making threads, we're just chasing threads, hopefully. All right, we're gonna put the rib on it. Probably not the best time in the world, but PB will work. Can do it without spraying myself. Looks like we're running some rust out of there. There's the bad spot. I'm out of brake cleaner. I wish I had some brake cleaner to blow this off. One nice thing, it'll never happen again because they're anti-seized. If you do any maintenance on your bike, you'll catch this before they seize. Like I said, with the axle blocks being in there backwards, I'm not surprised. I think he put the axle blocks in backwards because he cut too many links out of the chain. But now that chain's stretched, it'll probably work. That's strictly a guess. I mean, I don't know him, so. So we'll put some anti-seize on it. See what we get. Oh, don't run with the gun, use the ratchet. Painless. All right, so those are both freed up. Just now it's time to do some easy stuff. Just throw some grips on. I'm gonna put this in time lapse. So I've been riding this a few days, just around the yard, around the neighborhood. It's got a pretty significant bog, which I haven't had the carb off yet. It starts one kick, even once it's hot, 1 or 2 kicks. Like the valve train's pretty good, it has good compression still, it runs good, but it has a hellacious bog out of nowhere. If the choke's on, or the enrichener, the bog's gone. I think it's a little lean. I'm gonna go up 1 clip on the needle, once I can confirm that the carb's clean. And then I have like 10 projects going on, so my toolbox is a mess, but this was cheap. Accelerator pump cover. You won't be able to see it in the case there, but there's little Venturis in it. It's supposed to take out some of that bog as well. So we're gonna put that on, because I think we're gonna go to the track this weekend. It's gonna be in the 60s, 70s, so pretty awesome for early March in Pennsylvania. So try to get that on real quick. Try to get a video. I don't know if it's gonna work. Got a little, see if I can get something in there small enough to point it out. That little bronze piece or brass piece right there. That's where the accelerator pump sprays fuel. Now if it's adjusted correctly, as soon as that throttle opens, it should spray. It is. See it? Well, we're flooding the crap out of it. That spray is good. It's timed well. So, that means the accelerator pump is not the source of our bog. Still gonna change the accelerator pump cover. Clean this carb out good, play with the jetting a little bit maybe if we need to. I mean, it's just a Kean FCR carb. This carb was basically on everything carbed 4-stroke in the late, 2005 to 2010 or 12. Well, 10, I guess, 9. I mean, this was on the Honda Suzuki Cowie. So, pretty common carburetor, but I'm gonna get it off there. And like I said, I haven't even cleaned it out since I got this carb, or this bike. Kid said it sat for a year. That's the gas that was in it when I picked it up. I mean, fresh gas would probably go a long way in it, but we're gonna start with carb clean. All right, well, this certainly isn't helping. All that gross goo in the accelerator pump. hopefully we're finding our bog issue here and getting her handled. Like I said, this accelerator pump cover is supposed to help. Boyson makes one. They're big money. I didn't feel like spending big money yet. So I grabbed this one. I mean, they look the same. There's a third port there inside, but basically the same thing. I don't know. Time will tell, I suppose, if it worked or not, but I know that that's not great that it's that dirty, so we'll need to clean it. All right, so clean the carb, put the accelerator pump cover on. I don't think it needs adjusted. It works pretty well. Sprays as soon as that throttle opens up. There was no spring on this air fuel screw. So I put one on it. I don't think that was helping. And it was also 3.5 turns out. Yeah, I'm gonna start at like 1.5 and see how that does, but time to put the carb back on. I'm also going to drain the fuel out of that finally, because that's the fuel that was in it when I bought it. But yeah, hopefully that does something for me. Well, about 5 minutes of effort. Got the plastics off. Got the full of Cherubies. Oh, I didn't get the port guards off, but I'll grab them. Full of Cherubies kit. It's on sale on Motorsport for like 130 bucks. Can't beat it. I wanted to go black. I kind of like black bikes. So that's the route we're going.